then let's talk about another kind of story that's difficult to understand how to cover. And that is, I read this weekend a story about Hunter Biden's daughter from someone that he says he barely knew, but who is absolutely his daughter, proven in court, DNA, who is therefore the granddaughter of President Biden, whom he has never met, and mention of which is barred in the White House. Now, the Times did, I thought, a really pretty good job of writing sensitively about this, because you also have this 6-year-old girl whose privacy or whose dignity needs to be defended. At the same time, we know of the other grandchildren, and Joe Biden is family man, right? And he has a granddaughter he's never met. How do we grapple with that story? Is that relevant? Is it, in fact, a smear job to bring it up? How would you go about that? And is Semaphore planning to do something on it, for example?
Oh, I can't. I'm talking to you right before a honeymoon, so hopefully, hopefully nothing will break that big that I'm ready about in the next 2 weeks. But there's a lot. I want to drown you with words here, because there are a lot of questions as part of that. What makes it into the paper? What makes it onto the 7 p.m. news? I mean, the clumsy analogy I always use in my head is there's a jar of marbles, and the jar is going to be filled with marbles, and some of them are not going to make it. So there's some stories they're not going to make it. Is the biggest story in the country that the president's ne'er-do-well son has a love child? I don't think that's ever the biggest story in the country, probably because it's not Biden's, it's his grandkid. I was just talking to a Democrat running for Congress, who was a congressman who's running again, and I asked him some Hunter stuff, which, by the way, this is another thing I like about doing journalism, is occasionally there's a question where it seems like a right-coded or left-coded question. I'm just ask them. Just ask a question. And I asked him if, hey, Democrats take back Congress, they keep investigating Hunter. And he's like, if Hunter Biden, if he did something illegal that anyone else get it and sent to jail for, throw his ass in jail. He actually said throw his ass in jail. That's the Democratic attitude about Hunter Biden, is this is embarrassing, but Biden won the election beyond that. And as just a matter of utility, we don't need his son. We don't like his son. Go ahead and investigate him. You're asking a character question in part about Biden. What does it say that he is not acknowledged and has no relationship with his son's illegitimate child? I don't think it's a good character question at all. I think it's something that the Trump folks have trouble making hay out of, because one thing they will say about Trump is, for all his sins, he had 3 marriages, used to be a sin. He has 4 kids, 5 actually. See, I did the thing Biden did. who no one has, there's jokes about them, and did they benefit from who their dad was? Sure. Have any of them gone and done things that would have been illegal in Massachusetts 50 years ago? I don't think they have, from the public record. They've been pretty well scrutinized. They would love to make the contrast. Look at what a nice person Donald Trump is and who he's raised. And I've heard that from some conservatives. How can we convince people that Donald Trump is a good person, unlike his opponent who raised son whose kid he won't even acknowledge? I think it's
that's obviously, if you make it a question of character versus Trump, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I'm not saying that.
No, I didn't think you were.
I'm just saying
it's not more of an issue. Because often it's a campaign that drives us into the conversation, not just the media. The media hopefully is it's got the field that everyone's running on. But if we're saying, hey, this is the issue now, I feel like we're better ground if it's if the campaigns are trying to drive it. But as you were saying, I talked over you.
No, I just was struck that I didn't know this at all. Maybe that's my fault, but the media hasn't covered that story in any way. And Biden's own position around his son, there are a couple of things I would say. One is he has said explicitly publicly, my son has done nothing wrong, which is untrue. I think we can safely say
a large definition of wrong. Yes, well, you don't have a guilty plea for things that you didn't do wrong.
Well, when you have an audio tape of him saying, "My dad's right here next to me," whether his dad was right here next to him or not, I'd like some money, please.
WhatsApp text, not audio tape. I think it's a WhatsApp text.
Oh, whatever it was, yeah, WhatsApp text. And we have a pretty good piece of evidence that this man was trying to leverage his dad.
Right.
And that comes out, and 3 days later, Hunter is at the state dinner.
I think that you're just talking about what I think is the interesting story, which is that let's stipulate that maybe a president with these connections 50 years ago couldn't have gone on. Maybe a governor, it would be a problem, and his party would say, please don't run again. You have to step aside for somebody else. And it's not for a president. Why is that? I think I don't think it's as much the media covering up for him. Look, the I don't think the Bidens have a catch and kill policy like Schwarzenegger used to have with the Inquirer. If I go to a supermarket, I can see a tabloid with like a Hunter Biden story on it from time to time. I hesitate to talk about this, not just with you, with anyone, because it feels like it's not necessarily the media's fault that the average person is not following this that closely. I don't know what it is. If you turned on, I mean, Stephen Sondheim had this line about West Side Story. He was told that it had no hummable tunes. Then once it turned to a movie and a studio put millions and millions of dollars promoting it, all of a sudden it was hummable. And I've always thought about that quote because it's, yes, if you keep pushing and pushing and telling people to care about this, you can have an impact. But why? Why don't people care? Why do voters not care? I think they have priced in, just since Bill Clinton, some level of error that they give to a president.
Yeah, it's just
I'd rather just put the guy being kind of screwed up than I would with replacing this guy. I don't know what it is. I think it is unique to the president, maybe to a king. I mean, not to get all this, but if a prime minister had a scandal like this, would he be forced to resign?
No.
So his party bring somebody else?
I don't think Biden should. I'm not arguing that. I'm just
yeah, sure.
I was just curious about the story because because I think fundamentally because I just know Joe Biden, at least I thought I knew him, this Irish Catholic family person. It must be a source of great pain for him not to know one of his granddaughters. That's just something an Irish Catholic granddad would not be fine with.